Steven Ogg. What I said.
Yes.
How's your Lithuanian, by the way?
Great. I've become fluent.
Yeah? Do you know how to say
Yes.
thank you in Lithuanian?
Achoo. Although I make it sound Chinese somehow when I do it.
Do you know it?
Achoo.
Do you know any
Arigato.
Chinese?
Achoo.
I think that's Japanese.
Or Japanese. Fuck.
How was your last night? By the way, Steven and I we became really close friends. I think yesterday. I guess. Yeah.
Bonded over the old alcohol.
And cepelinai.
What?
The potato thing, the potato with the meat inside thing.
Come on, guys. What's that all about? That was. I mean, you always want to try things wherever you go, and I like to. I'm kind of adventurous, but honest to fuck, that was so gross.
David loved it. David loved it.
That's
Faustino.
true. David was just chugging that, just give me more jelly potatoes.
Oh, but listen, when you're hungover, cepelinai, or whatever you want to call it,
is that the
best?
cure?
Is the best thing, man. It's the best.
Okay.
Just that grease. Yeah, you just want to chug it down.
Ugh, it was just, the consistency of it. And I tried to just sort of get to the pork aspect, thinking the pork would save me. But it was it was really the jelly stuff. I mean, do you guys like it? Is it something?
Of course they do. Yeah, do you like cepelinai?
Yeah.
Do you know, I want to get to the point in. Let's talk about your childhood.
Childhood.
Yeah. When did you realize you wanna do this craft? You wanna become an actor, be in movies, be in theater, because you started from theater.
Yeah, I never thought about movies necessarily, or specifically. Certainly didn't think about this. Like I was telling someone yesterday, you never get into acting, or I guess some do for the notoriety or any of that. I just did it. I did a elementary school. Again, I think it was this Betty Boop character dressing up in drag. And no idea why, and I don't think anyone asked me, and I don't think it wasn't like my mom and dad were in the business, and this is in Calgary, so it's not like Calgary, Canada. It was a hockey town, it was like wrestlers and hockey players.
Did you play?
I never played hockey. And man, high school, I grew up when it was like the Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames. It was a big rivalry, and damn, in high school, these hockey players, they're fighting. They just have fights, right? Like high school fights. And hockey players just punch each other in the face.
Yeah.
And I was always fascinated by that. Like, oh my God.
And when did the acting?
I get punched in the shoulder and I cry. I can't imagine gosh. It's incredible.
And then you get to play all these characters that punch people in the heads and then kill them off.
But then if you ever really watch me fighting and stuff, it's kind of funny. It's not tough guy fighting, which always works because for any role, it's like with guns. I mean, I'm not trained.
You're not a gun fan.
And, there was actually a picture of me, a still of The Walking Dead, when I was, if this was the gun. Well, first of all, too, there was sometimes on set with a gun where you're going, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing?
The director would go this is not the way you hold a gun.
No, you don't make that sound. I was like, sorry. But because you think you're a little kid and you're just like it was that day when Sonequa, when she turns into a zombie. You remember that? There was a lot of gunfire that day in that episode, and everyone's running around and we're shooting. And that day, which was a really fun day. And I remember, at one point running around just going, like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. You just feel like a little kid. But then also there was a still of me holding the gun like this or something. It was the most ridiculous looking, unmasculine, tough guy thing you can imagine.
But I guess it adds it's like an attribute to your acting as well, because you do voiceovers, and GTA was was that kind of job. But not only that, because, and you're gonna tell me more about that, because you did all the motion capture thing there, which is still very interesting.
Light. Yeah, I mean, it was motion capture was the the actual voice stuff. I think we did obviously for the cars, like the car scenes, when you just hear the voices, that was sort of just into a microphone. But for me, I'd say like 80%, 90% of it was motion capture. Filming in a studio, wearing the motion capture outfit and acting it out. Which is why, like, when people are like, oh, do you ever get, like I saw with David when they were talking about, do you get bored, or do you hate when people always talk about Married with Children? Actors generally get known for one big thing. And with the video game, it's like something I'm proud of. And I think it was a really fun performance. So
you don't feel like people coming up to you and like, they're only speaking and talking to you about GTA? And of course not.
No, because with The Walking Dead and other projects they do, I mean, obviously the video game has a big resonance with people, and that's fine. Like, I have no problem with it. Like, thanks, it's cool. It's sort of like what David said. Like, you just get, it's people just kind of giving you love, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And you're not a gamer yourself, right?
No.
You're not. Have you ever played GTA? Have you ever tried?
Just a little bit. I mean, my son would play it, and I'd sort of sit down and watch, but it's just, I just never understood it. I didn't get the point, and and also the controllers.
Yeah,
it's too fucking much, man. The buttons and the push this and I mean, I used to do Atari when it was just the joystick and the red button, so that I can do.
So you're not a console fan. You're more of a PC guy.
I guess. I don't know. I just like playing with that one stick. Ow!
Oh, that stick. Well, we all like to do that now and again.
The topic is masturbation.
Yes. Steven, you said your son plays the game.
I like that.
You said your son plays the game. How does he react to you being all like brute and very violent in that?
Well, he understands it's all fake, and I mean, this was when he was younger. He's older now, so yeah. I mean, he never, I think he just knows that I'm kind of a jackass, and he knows it's pretend, and some kids don't. I was lucky, like my son understood the difference and didn't get weird about.
That's good parenting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's again, yeah. It's, I mean, it's when people say, "Oh, you let your kids play that game." It's not a kid's game. I was like, well, it's also talk about it. Like I would ask him, does this excite you? The violence? Obviously, stuff like for me, a lot of the Franklin stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to a lot of that language, that was always muted because for a child, that's tough to explain.
So some of the stuff that he says.
Yeah. But you just talk about it, right? It's like, do you like the violence? Does that excite you? And he'd always just, no, it's a game, Dad. It's just an escape,
That's cool. He's smart then.
Yeah. But again, it's talking, right? It's talking to your
it,
children and communicating and making them understand what that world is. And again, some kids and some people just react differently. It's like some people listen to heavy metal music and it gets them all angry.
Sure.
Okay, well then maybe that's not so good to listen to if it gets you angry. And some kids, he had a friend that couldn't. He got weird playing it. Like, so like, no, that kid can't play it.
And do you have any favorite stuff from the game? Like, I know you haven't played that much, but when you were acting it through, when you did the whole project, did you find anything that like?
Can everyone hear me if I talk into my crotch?
Did you find anything that like was your favorite?
There's actually
or a scene or a.
There was a couple of things that my favorite moments were actually never in the game. Never made it to the game.
Cut.
Yeah. There was one where with Ned and we had this whole scene where I was bawling like a baby. I was just crying my eyes out. And it was something to do with our relationship or something. And yeah, it was just, and it felt incredible. Like, it was actually one of those scenes which, you know, not all to get all actory, but where afterwards you were just like, it was this cathartic, powerful moment we shared that you're like, oh, it felt incredible. And it was just an amazing scene that, again, we're in a motion capture outfit with a helmet, spandex, around apple crate boxes and tape, and yet we're having this.
How do you manage to get into the role, though? Like, with all the make-believe stuff all around you?
Well, that's what's cool. It's very close to, it's closer to theater because you have to, I mean, motion capture, you really have to fucking commit. You know, you have to believe you're, like, for Trevor, in that trailer, in a hot desert. Because you're in a studio that's as cold as this, like you're freezing, and it's literally made out of, you know, boxes, like not apple boxes. What are they fucking called? You know, just like crates and tape and metal bars and stuff like that. So you really, it's I don't know if it's underappreciated or under-recognized, and I know Andy Serkis has done a lot to sort of bring the idea of motion capture being
he's
fucking
incredible.
The same as acting.
He's incredible.
And even sometimes more so, because you truly have to commit to a world that you don't see. Although as the technology progressed, it was kind of interesting. I just, like, you start to remember things. We would have, so when you came onto the onto the set, which is just this big warehouse, you would have a screen, probably like maybe as big as one of these ones. And so you could see and I would call it an avatar, and then everyone at Rockstar would be like, it's not an avatar. And I'd be like, well, whatever, it's a cartoon version of me. I'll call it what I want. And so you could see, so right now I would be looking at Trevor. God, look at that forehead. I could have a family, like, because the planet is getting overcrowded with too many people. I think my forehead could become a home base for a small family. It's getting larger and larger. God, fuck. Horrible. So imagine that, not that, but what I'm talking about. And you would see the Trevor. Like, so I'm in my motion capture outfit, and you would see me on screen and also the environment.
Would you freak out then? Would you freak out? Like, what the fuck's going on?
It was weird. And by the end of the shoot, it took about 4 years to film the whole thing. By the end, it was our faces as well. The technology had already progressed that much. So basically you would see, like, what I'm looking at is I would see the set. I would see the trailer, and the real world would be there. So you'd get a sense of where you are. But then they would turn that off because you know, people would end up just watching themselves and like, cool, what am I doing? But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I just had a mini stroke.
Do we know where we are now? Where are we?
I just had a stroke. Great. Add that to the fucking list. Oh.
Let's get back to acting in front of a camera. Walking Dead.
Yes.
Were you a fan before you got into the show? And
not really.
How did it happen? Like,
I watched The Walking Dead, I think the first season, some of it, but I was late to the game. It was one of those things I just watched, and I thought it was kind of cool. Like when Andrew, like how it started, and it's funny because like John was in it and Sarah, all those people. And I think season 2, I watched some of it, but I never like was, oh my God. Like I just finished, I was late to the game on Fleabag, but I just like fucking brilliant. That would be like, that was something I'd be like, oh my God, I'm in Fleabag. I get to be, in season 3. It wasn't like that with The Walking Dead. It was like, it's a cool show. I was excited, obviously, to do it. But yeah, I mean, I remember the first day on set, or I was in the trailer with Andrew, who plays Rick Grimes, and we were waiting because Jeffrey had just been announced as Negan. So we were waiting on Gimple and Nicotera, the producers, to decide who was going to get the look. Like, am I going to be shaved? Or because Negan was supposed to be stubbly, but I was stubbly. And Jeffrey and I have similar silver black mustache. Who's going to shave? So we sat around for about 2 hours in the makeup trailer with Andrew, just me, Andrew, and then FaceTimed my son to talk about what the world was. Because I was like, what's the world? Like, are people going crazy now in the apocalypse? Like, what stage is the world at? So that's kind of, I learned the first day about the world through Andrew and my son. It's funny.
And how did it come to you? The whole thing, the whole gig. Do you remember how it happened? Like when you got the part?
Audition. Sharon Bialy, who's an amazing casting director, and casting directors are, going the way of the dinosaur. Unfortunately, there's not as many as there used to be, but a good casting director is incredible. And Bialy, they do all of Breaking Bad, pretty much everything on AMC they cast, and just great casting directors who, I remember I went in and I'd met Sharon before because I'd also done something else. What else? I'd done some other show. But so I went in, and the audition was actually the Negan speech. You guys remember when he comes, essentially when I introduced him in the trailer, and he steps out of the trailer and he's doing the whole, thing, that whole speech he gives. And I just realized actually, like Jeffrey is always like, with Negan, he was always doing this. And I kind of realized it's a little Liam Gallagher too, because Liam has it's a little Liam Negan I'm doing. So that speech was the audition. So it was essentially a monologue, like a 2-page monologue, and did that. And then Sharon, being a great casting director, said, strong choice, interesting, but let's do
Tone it down.
Let's do it again. And she gave direction and then did it again. And I think the next day I got the call.
That's it.
Yeah.
Super excited about it.
It's work, yeah. And when you book a gig, it's like, I'm working. But I didn't know it was supposed to just be for, I think, an episode or two. So it was, I thought it was just going to be me kind of introducing Negan for one or two
And then they're going to
episodes.
kill you off.
Yeah, or whatever.
Or
like
whatever happens.
It was just going to be a little thing, and then it turned into a 2-year gig. So
Simon is called one of the this is absurd, best villains in every series that's happening now on TV. How did you approach the character, and how did you make it so brutal and basically without any morals? Because comparing him to Negan had tactics and morals much more, I think, than Simon did. Because Simon was just like killing people off just for the fun of it sometimes.
yeah. Well, and I think too he had, he was. I always called Simon the drummer of the band. He didn't want to be a leader. He was someone in the back that could get away with anything and do anything because he didn't really have to answer. And yeah, I think, he was just, again, he was sort of born out of this not knowing where the character was going. Because again, you don't get a full script, or a full season. You just get a script.
You never know what's going to happen to
You don't know what's going to happen. So you're given certain words that's your starting point as to how to build this character. And I wanted to build, I didn't know where it was going, so I wanted to build someone who maybe could be good one day. So you the unpredictable quality came from just sort of trying to provide as many options, as an actor, to provide the writer room with as many options as to take this character. So that's how he kind of was formed, was from that.
That's how he was born.
Yeah. And then, the one tricky thing is because I wanted to have him not lovable, like when people say, he's a lovable bad guy or whatever. I was, because I don't need people to
Charismatic.
Yeah, because I don't need people to like me. Like, that's not my goal as an actor. If I'm going to play someone bad, I don't mind if everyone just fucking hates me.
you.
And the one thing is not knowing where you're going is my concern was if, let's say, episode 6, you discover, he's a pedo or a pedophile or someone that I don't really want to make likable. If he's just a big fucking see you next Tuesday. That was my concern, is like, shit, because I don't want to play him likable if he turns out to be a really terrible man. I'd rather play him as a fucking horrible man that everyone just hates.
Do you enjoy being that casting type? Like, usually playing the villainous character.
I mean, look at this face. It's sort of, look at that.
Self-explanatory.
Forehead. It's like, God, good Lord. It's like I'm not the romantic lead,
What would you want to do a romantic lead, though?
Yeah, I mean, I said for season 2, I'd like to have a cup of tea with someone and, maybe share a kiss with someone. And they're like, who do you want to kiss?
Snowpiercer.
Yeah, like just have a nice, like a relationship with someone. I don't care, like a man, woman, I don't care.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I'll make it happen.
You'll make it happen?
Yeah.
You'll write the script yourself if you have to.
Yeah.
And did you approach with the same kind of way the character of Rebus in Westworld? And by the way, another question: did the shootings intertwine somehow? Because wasn't it made like in the same year or
the two shows,
Westworld and Walking Dead?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. There was one week where I was in Atlanta shooting Walking Dead, and then I flew to LA to shoot Westworld, and that was sort of like, oh my God, that felt pretty cool.
In Westworld, you spend a lot of time being naked.
Oh yeah.
And you said you have a great story about that.
It is a good dong story. So yeah, that day was kind of fun, interesting, because we had so when you're doing it, it's you go into your dressing room, and you're going to be naked that day, and they have these little pouches, which are to cover your bits and pieces. Which for like obviously for the master shot, which was is your big wide long shot, you can be covered. There is a shot where you have to literally remove everything and be naked and just sit there. But anyway, so you get into the trailer, and there's a few different pouches, and you're sort of looking at them, and they have instructions. The instructions are great, like how to put your package into these packages. So I'm just looking, and everyone's different sizes. It's some people are showers, some are growers, all that stuff. So it's not like I've got I'm not like all, how am I gonna fit this into this little pouch? I don't have that problem. So I see these pouches, and there's like a skin color and white one and this, and I it's like, this one seems good. Like it seems to be
That would fit you.
Yeah. So anyways, there I go, putting the junk in the trunk, and then you have your robe, and off you go to set. And it's a lockdown set. Everyone's very respectful. I mean, like Tandy was naked all the time, and everyone had to get naked. Everyone gets naked on the show. So closed set, off I go with my robe, and it's a very sterile. Those rooms. It's very cold, which is really great. Cold room, like, you can't even
show off.
Yeah. So you get there, and first, so you go, and I sat down on my stool, just in the robe, and sit there. I sit down, and there's the dummy across from me with a huge dong, and I was like, guys, can we not have him in my field of view? I just, I don't need that to make my ego feel even worse than it does as I'm about to disrobe. So they removed Big Dong Guy. And okay, I'm sitting there, and it's okay, we're getting the master ready, and everyone's okay. Everyone's very respectful. Set's locked down. No one's allowed on set. Okay, and makeup comes to take my robe. And, we're all friends on this. We all know each other on set. So they take off the robe. So now I'm sitting naked with my pouch. And they giggle. They start to giggle. and I hear a few laughters. So it was giggle here and then laugh. And I'm like, oh my, I assumed it's because, look at the big guy with the tiny dick. And so I'm just like, and everyone's kind of also embarrassed that they're laughing, but they enjoy it. And then I said to the makeup Julie, I was like, what's going on? And she's like, you put on the makeup bag. So I had the white. Remember when I had a choice? Flesh, white. So, of course, all you can see is this white pouch. So they were like, no, yeah, you have to go put on the other one, the flesh one. I was like, oh. So that's my big dong dick story. Woo! Thank you, Lithuania, for listening to my big dong ding dong story.
By the way, this is all time that we have for talking to each other. Now it's the Q&A time, and I guess people really want to ask you loads and loads of questions. I have questions as well, but let them
ding dong,
let them have their time.
Ding dong ding.
Thank you for this, by the way. I'm laughing my ass off, man.
Felt like quite an idiot. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Steven.
Hello.
What do you enjoy being being Simon or being Trevor?
What did I like more?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, characters are sort of like kids or pets. It's pretty tough to choose one that's your favorite, but I mean, Trevor was obviously fun because he was so impulsive and you could pretty much do anything. So that's kind of freeing as an actor where you can, literally go way out there. So that was fun.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, yes, I'm Abora.
I just wanted to ask, do you like Lithuania?
Really do. Really love it here. And I wish, normally, Ross was here last year from The Walking Dead.
Did he prepare you?
He didn't, because he didn't know I was here. And so it was very funny, actually. We were out with Greedy Greta. Gorgeous Greta is what we call her. And we took a picture because she was like, oh, Ross was here. And then we ended up, anyways, long story, but he was here. And he loves it. And I wish I would have had more time because I would have loved to see more. But what I have seen, and I'm certainly more I've lived in Europe, Eastern Europe and Lithuania, and I'd like to explore more of the Baltics. I mean, it's so not what I expected. I thought it would be much more sort of German in its grayness, whereas it's beautiful, like Old Town and the forests around here. I mean, I wish I had time to bike around.
You should come in the summer, man.
Yeah, summer must be amazing, outdoor and festivals, and so I really, really do like it. And attractive people here too, beautiful people. The beautiful people, the beautiful people.
3 years ago, you did a fan movie or were a part of a fan movie, GTA VR, if anyone knows that, where you were playing Trevor live action, like you were Trevor, but in real life.
Yep.
How did it feel to be Trevor, but not a cartoon, just as yourself?
It was just a fun, it was just friends that we'd shot a film in Detroit, and we just were in LA, and we said, let's just kind of take the piss out of this whole you're Trevor thing that everyone's like, oh, you're Trevor, do Trevor, do Trevor. So it was fun. I'm surprised. I thought Rockstar would shut that shit down, but they didn't. I mean, it was fun.
I guess it's good for the game as well. It's
they don't care
sort of a
about
PR thing.
They don't even care. But it was fun. I mean, and we did it in LA and just guerrilla filmmaking, which I love, just where you're stealing those shots and we're on the road and it's 6:30 in the morning and we're just, okay, you got to stop the car and then run over, and we didn't get permits. It was fun.
Another person, and then we're gonna finish.
I don't have a question, but dude, I fucking love you. Good job. Do you want some gum?
Do I want some cum?
Gum. Oh. and that is it. We all love Steven Ogg, and we want to thank him for being here.
Thank you all.
Thank you for a great interview, great stories.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you
being
for
an amazing
having
actor
me.
and